All right, guys, the time has finally come. I don't really know how to start a video like this. I guess I can start with a warning that this is going to be a very lengthy, in-depth, wordy video, and I just want you guys to be prepared because we are going for it and it's going to take a while to get through this. I'm prepared over here. I've got my water right here just in case my mouth starts to dry out. I've got my little loose script right in front of me to kind of keep me on track and to make sure that I hit all of the points that I want to hit. Because today we are going to be talking about 51 East Main Street, the original House of Masks. I am going to be telling you guys the story as to why I am not there anymore. And I want you to keep in mind that nothing that I am saying here should be taken as fact. I am not presenting it as fact. This is all my recollection. This is all from my perspective. This is my side of the story. Take that as you will. I am not saying that anything in this video is factual, okay? Now with that being said, let's go ahead and jump on into it. I know that a lot of you guys have been patiently waiting for this video, and in some cases, you guys have been impatiently waiting for this video, and I guess I technically could have released this sooner, but I have a multitude of reasons as to why I refrained from doing so and as to why I have just now decided to put this video out. The first one being the church. The church has taken every single second of my time since I got the keys to this place, and I'm okay with that. I absolutely love this place, and this has been priority number one, so all of my extra time, my not extra time, my money, my energy, my effort, everything has been dumped into the church, and it's definitely been keeping me busy on top of regular life stuff. Another reason that you are just now seeing this video is because I wanted to make sure that there was no sort of backlash that would come from this. And I guess technically there could still be some sort of backlash that comes from this, but I'm just talking in a legal sense, which I've been cleared by my attorney to make this video and to release it to the public. So any sort of backlash that I'm worried about now is like a scarier kind of backlash. I guess if I go missing, you guys know what happened. But I wanted to make sure that I was legally in the clear. The last thing that I want to do is cause some sort of legal issue, and I think that I am pretty safe to not cause a legal issue now. And at least if something is to legally happen from this point, I know that I'm good, I know that I'm represented, I know that I've got a fair chance at whatever there could be, but I'm pretty sure I am safe. And the last reason that I haven't released this video until now is because I just kind of stopped caring as much about this issue. When I initially had to leave the building, I was hit with just an array of emotions. I was hurt, I was angry, I was sad, and most of all, I was confused.
You know what I think? I think maybe you're the ones who are confused.
Now, I am still all of those things over that situation, but obviously time sort of heals wounds, whether we acknowledge that or not. And I just think that in my particular case, with the circumstances that are going on, time has allowed me to recover a little bit from that initial blow and from the situation as a whole. To be honest, as of late, I've gone back and forth between even releasing this video at all, but I felt like I would be doing you guys a great disservice because you guys are important to the House of Masks. And if you're watching this video, I assume that the House of Masks is pretty important to you. And since you guys are such a big part of my life, and I assume that I'm at least a little bit of a part of your life, I felt like it was only fair to tell you guys my side of the story. And again, keep in mind, that is all this is. It's just my side of the story. I am not trying to present you guys with a bunch of facts. This is literally just the story from my perspective.
This is the story of a girl.
And what I remember and experienced. So let's go all the way back to the beginning. 5 years I was in that building and I was a perfect tenant. I never missed rent. I never had so much as a noise complaint. I never complained about anything that went wrong, which believe me, it did. The amount of winters in that building that I did not have heat in my space is unbelievable. It was so bad that there were more than a handful of times that we would get iced into the space. Ice would literally start on the outside and come in under the door or through the windows, and we would just have a winter wonderland inside. In fact, I can remember the one and only time that I did complain about something, and listen to this. The building manager just decided to not call or text me and give me a heads up that he was doing some plumbing in the apartment upstairs above my space, knowing full well that what he was doing had a pretty good chance of causing a giant leak and turning my place into a rainforest. So one morning, I walk in from a coffee trip to a legitimate waterfall from my ceiling, right over my bucket head collection. It ruined a lot of the paper goods, some being extremely rare bucket head buckets. I couldn't believe it. I calmly called the building manager, not even knowing that he was upstairs causing this issue, and I let him know that there was a lot of water raining down from my ceiling, and he says, "Oh yeah, I guess I probably could have let you know to expect some water."
Well, no shit.
So anyways, he eventually comes down and assesses the situation and told me that if I had a legitimate problem with what happened, that I could go up and kind of open a case with the Masonic Temple Association, who own the building. So that's what I did, and I did it the right way. I wasn't mad at anybody, I wasn't shitty, I just did what I was supposed to do. I comped all of these buckets on eBay to show what they have sold for, to give the legitimate value of the items that were ruined. I presented my case, and just to show good faith, I even offered to take less than half of the monetary value in a rent trade. That way they wouldn't be out any money, they wouldn't be giving me any money, and the rent trade that they were giving me was actually less than half of what I lost, and that was only to help me out while I tried to rebuild what I had lost in that flood. I didn't want to be a pain or to make any money. I just wanted to feel like they gave enough of a shit to help me out while I sorted out the problem that their negligence caused. Well, wouldn't you know it, they declined, and they actually counter-offered me with $500 to just drop it. I honestly felt so insulted that I never responded, and I just left it at that. Now, that is one example of the many dealings that I had renting 51 East Main. But guess what? It was worth it. At least I thought so. I just loved that building. From early childhood, I always had ties to that very specific space, and I know that it sounds weird, but I always knew that it would be mine one day. I got my first BMX bike there as a child. I got my first pro skateboard there as a preteen. I got my senior portraits taken in that building. Some of the first ever I Hate AJ Good t-shirts were printed in that shop. It was the coolest space ever, and I had a lot of history there. And it was in the heart of downtown Chillicothe, literally on Main Street, which I loved. A place that I have so much love and pride for, and that I had really become a staple of in the community. And I loved all of that enough to put up with the shit that came along with it. So not only was I a great tenant that had a lot of love for the building, but I was also a Mason. So because the Masons owned that building and I was interacting with a lot of these guys on a regular basis, I had taken quite the interest in Masonry. And I wanted to strengthen my bond with these people. And trust me, this video isn't to bash Masons or Masonry. I would absolutely never ever do that. I still have a lot of love for a lot of these guys. And this, quite frankly, just isn't about Masonry. It's about the people that I dealt with as a tenant. Those guys just also happen to be Masons. So you can imagine the shock and the disappointment and honestly, like the betrayal that I felt when my brothers did this to me. Voting me out of a place that I had become such a big part of just didn't make any sense to me. Yes, from a business standpoint, I am just a renter and they are just the landlords, but our relationship was deeper than a strictly professional one. And to feel so betrayed by people like that just really threw me for a loop, you know? So not only was it a literal lifelong dream to acquire that space, which became a reality, but in the 5 years that we were there, we did so much. We had the first meetup and open house, the first Pale Fest, the first stage-used Slipknot mask, We hit 100,000 subscribers there. We had a first Slipknot visit. We had a second Slipknot visit. That place became an urban legend in the community. People would drive from hours and hours just to take a photo with the window display. And these were all things that actually happened. I'm about to tell you guys about things that were supposed to happen. I got extremely comfortable and very financially stable in that building, and I don't want to tease you guys by telling you what I'm about to tell you, but this move ruined a lot that was supposed to happen in 2025. So, first of all, we were working on converting the front area of the space, from the front door to the steel wall, into a full-time, year-round horror, mask, and metal retail shop. The House of Masks would have literally become a store, finally. Records, magazines, figures, merch, and of course, masks. It was becoming a no-brainer at that point, and I already had the rent covered there, so I wouldn't be like relying on that business to pay the bills. The retail space could have literally just existed. I was promised more room in the back of my building by the MTA, so once that was underway, we were going to go full steam into a legitimate House of Masks store, and man, I wonder how awesome that would have been. And the second thing that we were sinking our teeth into, to the point of going and checking out spaces that could work for this, was a venue. Obviously, through PaleFest and through my involvement with so many bands in the last few years, I was diving very heavily into the music side of things. And one thing that Chillicothe hasn't had for a very, very long time is a legitimate venue. Not a bar, not a place for a guy with an acoustic guitar to play a bunch of cover songs to drunks. A real venue, a hardcore venue. A place for metal music, among other genres, of course. We have a scene waiting to be rediscovered. And there is no reason that that entity couldn't have completely run itself by the time that we got it up and moving. We were very, very close on pulling the trigger on that, and it all changed in the blink of an eye. So, here's the story. A few days after PaleFest, I was leaving the building, feeling great about the fact that PaleFest 2024 was done and had actually been the most successful and stress-free year yet. And that's when the building manager stopped me. He said, "Hey man, we need to talk," and it seemed serious, so I said, "Yeah, what's up?" And he told me that last night the members of the MTA had essentially voted to not renew my lease. They didn't want me in the space anymore. So it wasn't an eviction. They had just decided that they wanted to do something new with that space. I couldn't believe it. I literally thought that it was a joke. And when I realized that it wasn't, oh man, again, I could not ever give to you guys in words what I was feeling. Shocked, hurt, sad, angry, all of it. Now, obviously, I tried to protest this decision, and I had backing from really the entire community of Chillicothe, so shout out to everybody that wrote me letters of disapproval, people like the Chamber of Commerce, the police chief, the local media. I tried to talk to the president of the board, who was honestly not a big help at all. I literally couldn't get a straight answer from the guy as to what went wrong. And the most that I got was "I'm surprised that you're just now hearing about this. We've been talking about this for at least a year now." Well, I've got a couple of pieces of paper here that kind of raise some questions about this going on for at least a year. So the first one that I'm going to read from here is my actual notice of lease termination. And in the first sentence, it says that I am receiving this from the Masonic Temple Association to inform you in writing of a decision that the board made, which you were already made aware of the week of November 10th, 2024. So, like I said, a few days after PaleFest 2024, I was told verbally that my lease was going to be terminated and that I would have to find somewhere else to go. November 10th, 2024. Well, I've got a packet here from an MTA meeting. Building Managers Report to MTA, May 13th, 2024. And the very last thing that is covered in this paperwork right here is something to do with my space being expanded. Remember how I told you guys earlier that I was expecting to get an extension on my building. I was supposed to get more room in the back. Well, that is what this is all about. And nowhere does it say 51 East Main Street. Nowhere does it say space A on floor A. It literally, every time they address my space, they call it AJ's space. And a vote was taken to extend that space and raise my rent which I obviously agreed to, and they all voted yes, unanimously. I was at the meeting, the entire meeting said yes, let's give AJ more space and raise his rent. This was in May 13th, 2024. Now I don't know how good you guys are at math, but that's only about 6 months, not over a year. So you're telling me that 6 months after that meeting that I was asked to attend, I'm told that the lease wouldn't be renewed and that this has been talked about for over a year?
You sure about that? You sure about that? You sure about that?
Make it make sense, dude. So fast forward a little bit. Once I realized that nothing was going to change what had been set in motion, I did what I had to do and I made it work with the church, something that really tested me and quite literally took me to the edge. But I knew that this was happening and I knew that it had to be the church. And no one really understands why I was so all or nothing with the church, and that's fine. Like, they aren't in my position and I can't expect them to understand it. But I can promise you that I wasn't being too picky or being a diva about it. I just knew that this was quite literally the only option that would work. It had to be the church. So a huge shout out to the previous owner, Ben, and a couple of extremely supportive humans that helped me acquire this place. We made it happen, and here we are. And guys, I love the church. I really do. But I would be lying if I said that this hasn't been the most pressing experience of my life. In the span of 5 months, I have gone from the absolute most money that I have ever had in my life right back to feeling like I am at square one and starting over. Owning a property is absolutely no joke, and this giant change is exactly why I need to start treating the House of Masks more like a business rather than just a passion. Now, obviously it is both for me, but I really need to start leaning into the smart way to do this. I feel like I've been fueling this off of strictly passion for so long, and being able to get away with it has kind of made me lose sight of the fact that I need money to survive and everything needs money to work. And that's exactly why I've been pushing the Patreon so hard lately. It's also why I kind of get in my feelings and give everyone shit about how much more supportive every other fan base seems to be. And dude, I don't even do the annoying YouTuber shit because I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to beg for likes and shares and comments and engagement. If you guys want to do that stuff, you will. And I don't want to neuter my videos and the experience for you guys with censorship and commercials and clean-cut garbage. But I'll tell you what, the House of Masks kinda rips, dude. Name any other creator that completely on their own, from concept to filming to editing to uploading to making the thumbnails to marketing the videos, the definition of a one-man band who puts out the amount of content that I do on such a niche subject like I do at the rate that I do. Not to suck my own dick here, but I just don't think that you can. And man, if the channel and the movement and what we are doing here isn't worth $5 a month to you, then I will most certainly have to take a step back and kind of treat the channel more like a hobby and less like a job, which means that I won't have the same amount of time, the same amount of effort, the same amount of money to dump into the videos here like I have been for years.
And that's the bottom line, 'cause Stone Cold said so.
And just a bit of an update as to what I've dealt with since leaving the building. Not only was I out before the allotted time that they gave me to be gone, but I've also been dealing with what I consider to be some seriously uncomfortable shit. I mean, some of these dudes have shown up unannounced at my new location asking me all kinds of questions about how I left the place, which, by the way, I left in a lot better shape than whoever had it before me. And I know this because I have it documented via walkthrough when I got the keys to the place and a walkthrough when I turned over the keys to the place. I eventually had to change my number to stop the calls, and I had to put up a crazy amount of no trespassing signs outside to kind of let everybody know to leave me alone. And that was after I proved myself through pictures and videos and documentations that I didn't do anything wrong when I left. Now finally, as of May 15th, I was left alone. That was my last bit of contact with anybody from the Masonic Temple Association. I figured that was finally it. Everything was solved. All the loose ends had been tied up. So today, literally today, the day that I'm filming this video, I took them a piece of paper that essentially just kind of terminated any sort of unnecessary contact from them. This piece of paper right here just basically says that I vacated when they told me to, and that all of the loose ends on my end are tied up. I'm good to go. And guess what? They refused to sign it, which is fine. They don't have to sign anything, but it just kind of once again adds to the whole like me trying to do things the right way and getting shit on for it storyline here. I didn't even ask why they weren't going to sign the paper. I just accepted it and I said okay, and I took the paper back and started to leave. And the guy that I had asked to sign the paper kind of followed me onto the elevator and just kept saying like weird little remarks like the paper wasn't going to get signed because they've seen what I posted. I asked what post he was referring to and I wasn't given an answer. And do you know why that is? Because I haven't posted anything negative about them or even the eviction. Outside of being genuinely bummed about losing my space, nothing. Nothing mean, nothing derogatory, nothing calling anyone out. I stayed to myself and kept professional like I always do. I'm not a dumbass. And even though they haven't contacted me for 2 months now, it is July 12th as we speak, and I haven't heard from them since May 15th. They refused to officially relinquish contact with me. And I assume that once this video drops, there will magically be some sort of new problem at the building that they somehow didn't realize when they did their walkthrough months and months ago, and also haven't been bothered to contact me about thus far. And in my opinion, that seems like some sort of retaliatory response, but it is what it is. I just can't stay silent about it anymore. I'm sick of living under this weird intimidation bully thing. Feeling unsafe about who's going to pull up at my new location or who's going to be calling my phone. I just want to be left alone. And I just wanted to throw this in because it's so fresh. I had all of this stuff typed out yesterday, ready to record this video, but I felt like this new development should have definitely been included for obvious reasons. So there you go. That pretty much sums up the entire story of the end of the original House of Masks and the birth of the church. And at this point, I'm just kind of happy that I even had the chance to have an end of 51 because that means that we had 51. And even though I obviously have a lot of frustration because of this situation, the memories that I have of that place are completely priceless. And you know what? I think that it's worth it. And now, it's all about the future. I love you guys very, very much. Thank you for watching. And if you'd like to become a patron, as always, the link will be down below in the description of this video, as well as the pinned comment. I'd appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, or at least got some clarity and some closure from it, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, this has been AJ Good here at the only House of Masks, telling you to say no to drugs and alcohol, and to be a better man. And I will see you guys in the next one.